gets out, and, lots of damage to be played.
Well, the finals are underway. We're off to an absolute flyer. These players desperate to get their day, day done here. We see Natalie opening up with the Tapu Lele and throwing down a Fighting Energy and a Fighting Fury belt. Just tucking them behind the Tapu Lele for clarity. As Ian opens up with the lone Mew, but does get to play a Tapu Lele on his opening turn.
Similar, we're going to see a Bridget here, the typical play that we see right in the opening hands. But we had seen different stuff in the past, depending on opponent's hands and stuff. But probably has a draw support in his hand, and we're going to see an actual setup here on the other side of the board, opposite of Natalie.
Yeah, the tale of two supporter hands. One being able to play out the Bridget, get your deck nice and full, and on Natalie's side, she had to pass just attaching to the Tapu Lele.
Unfortunately, kind of on the negative end of the variance there. An underwhelming start, but Natalie has proved she's a fighter, and if there's any time that she can fight back from in a situation, it's this one.
This match is going to be very interesting in itself because, obviously there's Garbodor, which slows down a lot on Ian's side, but Ian also plays 3 Fighting Fury Belts to combat with that, so it's going to be a weird trade-off, no pun intended, but with both matchups here, with both decks here.
Yeah, I think if Natalie gets that Garbodor in, it's a little bit harder, especially with a slow start. You want it as early as possible. But if she gets it, then, hey, there's no trade. She's not going to have to deal with things like the Mew as well, which has been a bit of a thorn in the side of this Buzzwole. If that's shut off, that has no versatile, she's going to be able to just explode on a turn like we saw her do in top 4.
If it's anything that this Zoroark deck has showed us in the hands of Joey Rudiger is it doesn't necessarily need its trades to win 2 games.
It's very, very true. He was able to, just attack with Lele and just kind of power through, great draws and just work through the game right there as Natalie has a Guzma to take out one of those Zaruas.
The explosive presence of the Buzzwole only needs a single energy to knock out a Zarua because of the weakness, and spread a little bit of love around onto the bench as well. 30 damage heading there onto the Mew in the back, so going to help out a lot later on. 120 is a very awkward number. It's not too bulky, really.
No, it's kind of the glass cannon of the deck. It really tries to leverage its low energy requirement to take the big knockouts on the Buzzwole. Counterpoint to that is it's kind of a sneeze in the wind. Pretty fleeting. So
it's kind of like a high risk and high reward kind of thing where you can take out a opponent's whole deck between Buzzwoles and fighting types, but at the risk of that very fragile 120 HP that can get retaliated very easily.
Yeah, there's been a bit of discussion on which Psychic type kind of retaliation Pokemon you want between Mew and Mewtwo. And funnily enough, the Mewtwo from Evolutions actually has more HP than this EX from, originally printed in Dragons Exalted, so a sign of the times, really.
Exactly right. I believe we see a Malo here. Ian pulling 2 cards, and that leads me to believe he's got a Zoroark GX somewhere to maybe trade into them.
Yeah, you'd love stacking it up. There it is. He's not even going to bother. Actually going to use the Puzzle of Time beforehand. He's left the cards from the Mallow separate.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, and it just pulls them right up.
He's grabbed the card, grabbed his Zero back, a little discard, and just throw right back into the Ultra Ball. And he's used first impression with the Mew EX to take out the Buzzwole.
Yep, that's a big play. Tapu Lele, not where you want to put the attachment for the turn. Natalie putting that Cynthia, hopefully she can get another Buzzwole set up, ready to go, and can really start mowing down those fighting weak attackers in the Zoroark GXs. Some key cards that Natalie has on her side is that Fighting Fury Belt, and Ian is playing that Laurentis promo to boost +20, but those Fighting Fury Belts sitting at 230 is actually is just 10 damage more than he can actually reach if he has all his promos on board, damage-wise. So that's a key card for her. If she can keep those on the board, I think she's in great shape.
We've seen this deck from Ian, Robb, and from other players, though, and they do run a really heavy line of Field Blower. So, yes, there's a number of things you want to be taking out, and you want to make sure that there's no energy on the Garbodor, or no tool on the Garbodor, my apologies, to keep that lock in play, but at the same time, the Fighting Fury Belts need to go so you can get the knockouts.
Natalie, unfortunately, hasn't really been able to get that track star start that we saw last round. So she's really just trying to put herself in a position to be able to kind of get that one big turn, have, again, variance kind of go her way, maybe a nice draw supporter, and really flood the board. This hurts right here.
Yeah,
that hurts.
You'll be able to take out that Trubbish with the Flowstone on it right away with just the first impression, gets to keep the Mew in play, which pressures any Buzzwole she puts down, and she's not getting much setup now because of it.
No, everything she brings up seems to be just getting knocked out by this Mew. She's already lost a few prizes. She's taken one herself, but 3 prizes going over to Ian. He's definitely already a GX knockout ahead in the prize race. It's a deficit that Natalie needs to catch up with, and she just doesn't have one of those big attackers. Something to take out the Zoroark, something to take out the Golisopod. There's just not one of those ready yet.
Natalie typically being able to take the full advantage of the end to lower hand sizes because she does play that Garbotoxin Garbodor, turning off the trades and the auxiliaries. But unfortunately, she's not really in a position to do that quite yet. Ultra Ball off the top. I don't necessarily think that Ultra Ball, she does have an S Ball as well. So maybe we're going to see Garbotoxin and a Buzzwole come down so she can start. Correct. That's why she's in the finals, folks.
Yeah.
Carbink, she's got a completely different strategy lined up.
Yeah, we saw it in the top 4 actually, since she gets Carbink in front of that Mew and forces something else to come up and do the attacking.
This is very interesting.
Maybe a bit more vulnerable.
Because she has 2 different attackers in his deck, minus Carbon, which is the Buzzwole and Zygarde. So if she brings up you start setting up a Buzzwole, Ian has the Mew to knock out the Buzzwole, but she decides and goes, hey, I need Zygarde. Ian also has a Golisopod to knock out a Zygarde. So it's a very awkward setup right now for what she wants to prioritize.
So she does have the Ultra Ball in hand. We see Ian trade here. But maybe what we're going to see is, hey, if you take a knockout on this Lele somehow, that's 2 fighting energy going to the discard, bring up Carbink, Ultra Ball for my Buzzwole, attach, Diamond Gift, with a break, and she's right back in it. She's got the beefiest attacker on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be one of those turns where she does just absolutely, turn it around in a single turn. You just drop a Buzzwole, Diamond Gift it, and the next turn it's ready to go. I mean, we've not even seen any Max Elixir play from her yet, so those are in there as well.
Despite her struggling setup, she has managed to take 3 prizes. Unfortunately, in this current situation, she actually needs a critical mass of cards to really kind of wrangle full control of this game, kind of as her deck gets ahead.
Ooh. Yeah, a couple of good things in there. We do see the Garbotoxin Garbodor ready to go, and the Max Elixir, so if something needs to be powered up, that's going to help. But she did lose access to that Ultra Ball, another Float Stone off the top there, so...
She had a couple extra pieces right now. She could have Ultra Balled for like a Buzzwole or actually just maybe like a Lele to a Cynthia, and then Garbotoxin and N or something. There's a lot of things she could have done if she had just one more piece, but
well, we see the
she's
Float
forced to
Stone and the
discard
Elixir
stuff.
gone there just to get that Ultra Ball in play. So Diamond Gift is probably going to be the preferred option to try and get energy back onto these Buzzwole.
Yep, trying to avoid giving up that Lele knockout that's kind of looming right now, and leverage that Carbink. Such a great tech that she played in this deck. Power up a Buzzwole and really start taking over Ian's board.
Yeah, it's one of the advantages of using these single prize attackers or setup Pokemon. You can kind of weave them in without them being knocked down for too much cost.
Exactly. We always talk about that 7 prize game, and Carbink does a great job kind of pushing for that.
Yep. Well, that's the big not even the knockout, just trying to get rid of some energy there.
He hit another Guzma off of that trade just then, so we could see the Garbodor going down, or even just a Carbink.
I'd kind of like him to see take out that Carbink. I think it's really Natalie's way to ramp back. Going to 1 prize and extends the hand. Just a dead draw, unfortunately, there for Natalie. So the Guzma didn't quite matter, but I'd like to see Natalie get a better start next time. She attached to the Lele, fighting Fury Belt, pass. That's not what you want to see in the finals of the largest regional.
It's rather disgusting. To be honest, it's not what you want to get started as well. But we've seen Natalie's light speed play, and I think with her going first, if she gets that set up, she's going to be off to the races.
If we could mimic what she did in the previous round, the semifinals, of how she was, setting up and getting everything she needed then, definitely see a better game between this matchup here. Because I don't think it's like one side at all. I think there's outs on both ends, but both players need to utilize their decks efficiently and get set up.
Yep, exactly right. Obviously, the power of Bridget on Ian's side, and Natalie with all those draw supporters, full set of Ultra Balls, 2 Nest Balls, really to get her bench filled up with maybe a couple Trubbish, Buzzwole, Carbink, and kind of be able to jockey position. She did a really good job in the semifinals to be able to leverage the advantage that she gets. Garbotoxin, lock it in. What are you going to do now?
Yeah, the big one as well is I think dealing with that Mew. Because that Mew took so long to get through. It took 2 turns of energy drive. It did take the knockout on Buzzwole while it was messing around, and you can't afford that.
Yep.
It's such a small Pokemon that does so much work.
Fortunately for Natalie, because she's playing Garbodor, she can turn out that Mew ability, which is something I learned so savagely on stream when I misspoke in the semifinals. But Garbotoxin does great work turning off Mew's ability to copy, that radius beating and taking those easy knockouts.
Either knock it out or make it useless, because I don't think I've ever seen anyone use Replace on their Mew EX.
The good thing with that also too is, Garbotoxin is an effect. Mew is the only out that Ian has to these Buzzwoles as far as a weakness attacker, so big key point there also.
It kind of seems like we're going to see some big swingy matchups. On Ian's side, some key field blowers. On Natalie's side, keeping those Fighting Fury belts and being able to keep that Mew off the board.
Yeah, we've talked about it a few times though, when you play such a heavy line of Field Blower in this Zoroark deck, you can still set the Zoroarks up. You only need to trade once, maybe twice, so the benefit you really have is to say, hey, one turn, field blower, Garbotoxin gone, trade, trade, trade. Oh, my hand's full.
Yep, there you go. We see we're going to retreat here. I think she goes Max Elixir in hand and maybe wants to start powering up that Zygarde. And really, again, Natalie's deck is asking all the questions, not providing any answers. You know, Ian's clearly reactive, Acerolas, things of that nature, puzzles, all that type of stuff that kind of control the board state. And Natalie just goes in, asks the questions, and say, if you can't answer these, you are losing this game.
Yeah, Lily coming out there, so full benefit from Lily. Would have been nice to see the Buzzwole a little bit early, maybe before the Max Elixir, but you've already got the Zygarde ready to sell Storm.
This is actually a great start from her because she, you know, like I was saying before, she does not play any Bridget, but going back to those awesome draw supports she plays, has a full bench setup, one of each of her main, you know, priorities in his deck, and the Parallel City to slow down Ian. So, phenomenal start. We're going to see maybe something similar to where, you know, this deck that's meant to destroy Zora could come into affect this game.
I'll tell you what, all the spirit energy that was sucked out of Alex Hill and those Max Elixirs have gone straight to Natalie.
Yep.
She is
2 for
lighting
2.
it up with those cards.
Fantastic start for there. Buzzwole's ready to Jet Punch, Zygarde's ready to sell Storm, and Carbink ready to maybe get out of the way and let them do some damage.
Look, worst case scenario, Carbink takes it on the chin and she's still got 2 powered up attackers. Best case scenario, she actually just gets to bring up an attacker and still use it and leverage it in that mid to late game, as we've talked about, is so big, powering up her huge attackers.
Yep, well, no explosive start from Ian, just quickly. No Bridget on the opening turn, actually. This time a Cynthia.
Yeah, well, he's hoping to see a couple extra Pokemon here, and definitely he already tested energy for turn. But yeah, like you said before, no turn, 1 Bridget, just a Cynthia out, and I can't tell, but he didn't react right away, so he might not have much in his hand.
Yeah, it looked like he pulled the Mew out, though, but, you know, the Mew's not so hot now. You want that Buzzwole in the way to take it on the chin from the Mew, so probably something for a little bit later.
Exactly right, and he's kind of in a precarious position. You know, you'd like to use that Wimp out ability, but look what's on the bench. It's a Zorua, and that's just that's an easy KO for Natalie. So he's really got to jockey and try to figure out what he's doing. 2 choice bands gone there, which helps him hit those 190. 220 numbers that we've been talking about. That's why he runs that Lurantis promo. Seeing those go down early, not necessarily a good sign for Ian.
He's clearly trying to not fall foul of what happened to Natalie, though, which is get through the first couple of turns with a tiny bench. So, yeah, giving up any resources he can just to play the Ultra Ball successfully.
Still going to be significant him throwing those choice bands around because Natalie, remember, she plays the counter in Fighting Fury Belt. So real high numbers to hit for her, even with the Lurantis promo. Without those choice bands, it's going to be really tough to get there.
Yeah, we see, although Ian running a heavy count of Field Blower, 3 of them not necessarily finding it to kind of loosen up that board. Parallel City putting the squeeze, putting the pressure on as it does.
Well, the Tapu Lele getting another draw supporter, so it looks like Ian is getting kind of desperate, I'd say, to make sure he gets all the things he needs. You know, making sure he's set up for the next turn. Do you see a big Guzma play
That
here?
is huge right now. The only Zuru on board is going to be the Jet Punch. Set up a knockout on the Energy Wind Pod, and, you know, Glasspot can only do so much right now without the draw support of Zoroark.
Yeah, this is how Natalie wants to play these games. She really wants to...
Flat out early pressure.
Yep.
And just stay aggressive throughout the whole game.
Once she starts going, there's really no stopping her. The Pringles technique, I believe, if that catchphrase still holds true. But, you know, now that the Tapu Lele's in the way, it's, you know, it's going to take some hits, but there's only a limited amount of time it can take hits for before Ian's bench have to start answering and taking damage from potential jet punches as well.
You know, there's not even any real attack that you can do right now without, you know, another Glasspot out and Grass Energy, but you know, he needs a lot of combos right now. Flowstone, Grass, Glasspot, just to get this knockout on the Buzzwole.
Yep, I mean, I can see Puzzle of Time, just a single Puzzle of Time.
Just to
played.
see another puzzle of time, too. That's like one of the most gut-wrenching feelings is,
Oh.
do I just wait a turn and maybe get the second puzzle? And then you sometimes get punished like that because it really hurts.
It almost never fails. A rough pass for Ian there. And I'd like to say that Natalie has the full Fighting Gentleman headlock in right now, and she is putting the pressure on. There's no looking back for her. Like I've mentioned before, in her semifinals match, when she gets to this point, she throws it in cruise control and just coasts to the finish, taking easy knockouts.
Yeah, this one looks like a figure 4 leg lock, and she's kind of just waiting for Ian to
Oh,
tap
man.
out.
Yep.
It just got a whole lot worse with this this big play. The strong energy's there. Gonna make this an easy knockout with this fully charged up Zygarde.
And this is just so scary to see. Parallel City, 2 setup attackers, Carving Break just sitting there waiting. You know, even if you knock one out, I'm going to reload. And all Natalie needs is just a Garbodor to really just take over this game completely.
Yeah, we like to call this, it's pretty much Fisher Price of this place, Child's Play. Natalie's got everything going her way. She really, really just kind of wants to get this game over and see this exact same start in Game 3.
Yep. Oh, she's going for it with Ultra Ball, discarding Ultra Ball and Ultra Ball. So pretty much one more search. It is going to be Garbodor though, so I've got a feeling it's about to get a little bit worse.
This is the nail in the coffin right here for this game too.
Yeah. Well, she hasn't got the tool just yet. She will be going back in with a Cynthia to try and grab it. So I think if it comes down, that's going to be salt in the wound there. See what she draws off it. That's not a tool. That's not a tool. Oh, there it is. There's the
Two
Float
tools.
Stone and the Fury Belt as
And
well.
an Elixir.
So actually, if she gets Knuckle Impact is what, 160?
Mm-hmm.
So she has Fighting Fury Belt. If she max elixirs into an energy, she can actually just retreat and take the KO right here. Unfortunately, misses that max elixir, but I was pretty excited about just screaming bang knockout and let's go to Game 3, keeping us on our toes here in Collinsville.
I mean, the big thing is we are going to be looking to see what she does to put Garbotoxin in play. She has the options with the tools, and there's the Float Stone. So even if Ian manages to find the Zoroark, yeah, you're not going to be able to use trade. That's a bit of a problem, as we do see the promotion of the.
Is there a
just to
Float
spread some
Stone on the
damage.
Zygarde? Is that how it's for your tree? Okay.
Yep.
That was a Fighting
Yep.
Fear Belt for a second and was definitely confused by that for a quick second.
No, the Fighting Fury Belt going over to the Buzzwole though, so with its damage output increased, it just becomes a little bit scarier.
There's not much I can see on Ian's side that he could do right now. He needs.
Ooh.
Well, there's the parallel play, so there's definitely a good start right there. Plus a Sycamore, or sorry, that was a trade. And if we can get a Zorua down and an end play here, we could maybe see a little bit of a resurgence from Ian on his side.
Yeah, we've got to see what he manages to do with these cards. He just pulled off the trade as well. Does decide to Ace Roller up that Tapu Lele. Definitely something he needs to do, otherwise an easy 2 prizes going over there. But at the same time, still no real answers to Buzzwole.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Guzma.
Acerola on that Tapu Lele was the throws of a desperate man. It's.
That's, yeah, that one's...
I might draw this card and pick him up.
Yeah, that's time, I think, for Ian in this one. Bell's been rung. It's last calls before we go to Game 3.
Well, he can get a knockout now, if he gets the Flow Stone and gets the Golisopod, he can get a knockout here, plus an end at 1. I mean, it could spell comeback, but there's a Buzzwole on bench waiting to, hit a big target.
Yeah, and we've got that Wimpod, I believe, that has 60 damage on it. She prioritized hitting it again, so I believe it is sitting at 60. So with 1 prize left,
fair enough.
that Jet Punch, that Wimpod can't hide. It needs to evolve, or else that's just that's a free roll for Natalie.
Yeah, I mean, he's done a good job of keeping the Float Stones off, but it's not going to be enough, I don't think. We do see more Field Blower play, so tearing through those, but it's looking pretty done.
End of 1, Natalie still needs the energy for the knockout, return knockout, and knuckle punch. If we see everything come to fruition with Flowstone, Golisopod, to knock out a Zygarde, and if there's going to be a return knockout with Buzzwole or not. But he is living on a prayer right now, looking for some cards right now after Natalie's end of 1. And she got an energy off that.
Yeah, I mean, Buzzwole's going to come up and be able to do whatever it wants, really.
Yep. Yeah, he didn't get what he
in the
needed,
next time.
and we're going to be
No.
going to game number 3.
Pack it up, pack it in. I'd like to see, we kind of had anemic starts Game 1 with Natalie, Game 2 with Ian. I'd like to see Ian get that Bridget, get Natalie, get her a couple troublershooters down, get that Buzzwole to start pressuring early, and really start throwing some haymakers back and forth to give ourselves an exciting Game 3 here in Collinsville.
So you'd like to see a real match, not one of those ones where one person just pushes the other one round.
Exactly. We've kind of seen a little bit of aggressive play on each side. Both kind of stumbled out of the blocks. It was a bit prohibitive for them to get started. And as you can see, in the finals, you played every single out. You give yourself the best opportunity you can, but sometimes it just turns out to be a bit futile. So Game 3, I'd expect a banger.
Yeah, I mean, if they both get a good start, we could end up with another one of these shockers, where one person has an absolute Western trying to get off the ground, and they got rolled over in about 10 minutes.
Gonna knock on wood a little bit. We definitely do not want to see these happen after they've played, 15 rounds of Swiss, quarterfinals, semifinals, now in the finals.
Yep.
After 18 rounds of Pokemon, you don't want to get dunked out of this tournament. That's a gut-wrenching
And
feeling.
don't forget, we've had games before where Ian came from behind, even in really tough situations against, games we saw previously in him with Stream, and this kind of situation can happen again. Don't count out either player when it comes to these low hands and get fall behind. We're notorious for calling it, yep, I don't see any plays out, and they somehow figured out a way back. So
The craziest thing that could have happened, the Necrozo GX Black Ray.
Yep.
Double knockout, 4 prizes, trade into double puzzle, counter.
Yep.
It was just mind-blowing.
That was nuts.
And
So the one thing I want to see, I've been promised Lurantis. I'm still not seeing Lurantis. I'm still struggling to see a big Lurantis play in any of the times we've seen this deck on stream.
we had one moment, but hopefully we get a chance here in game number 3 that is underway. Maybe we can see it come alive here. And a puzzle right to start. So this means he's either going to Sycamore or he just doesn't have much at all for a start.
That's not ideal. I don't think opening with a puzzle to get your hand nice and safe for the next turn is particularly indicative of a fantastic start. Could be wrong, but gets a couple of basics down and passes over to Natalie, who is going to start her search.
Nest Ball is obviously exactly what she wants to do to start getting set up. And if I'm Natalie and I'm starting that Tapu Lele, it's my heart is probably fluttering. But seeing Ian go, puzzle, look at the top 3, pass. Okay, breathe a sigh of relief. I still got a chance.
Yep.
Let's go. Let's get off to the races here.
It's looking pretty good. I mean, she didn't have one of the finest, like a Sycamore would have been lovely. But to Cynthia and get 6 new ones, yeah, I'd take that.
It's what's beautiful about Cynthia is in these early games when your opponent doesn't have maybe the most stellar hand, being able to just refresh your hand and leave theirs as is, untouched, is crucial, especially in the finals of the Collinsville Regionals right here, where we know Ian's might have a bit of a lackluster hand.
She's going to be in no shortage of supporters, by the way. I've seen 2 Sycamore and a Tapu Lele in there, so unless he manages to pull out an N or something, then it's going to be interesting.
Is he going to Nah for 60 damage? I can't say I've said that at all today or yesterday, but this is definitely a first here.
Yes, that man just gnawed for 60 on his Wimpod. I don't know what else to tell you.
All stops pulled here in the finals. Nothing to be left up for question.
Every bit of damage is going to count for Ian right now, and bringing that Buzzwole down, especially with the Fighting Fury belt on, making it a little more manageable to hit with the knockout, is good. But Natalie's just going for it, playing out with those supporters that she used to try and get more cards and just stop punishing this slow start.
She has options right now to even kind of get a little aggressive. And she has an elixir, she has energy, she could Ultra Ball some of her stuff away, but at the same time, Ian's not doing much right now, so she can kind of just relax, hold back. Hey, I'm gonna do this Jet Punch and apply pressure elsewhere.
Yep, Jet Punch still a little bit short there on the Wimpod, but the combination of Fighting Fury belt and the strong energy, really, really smart. Ace Roller early on for Ian on the Wimpod.
I would just go ahead and promote the Zuru and maybe, I don't know, you ram in this situation, but he's gonna get knocked out from a Jet Punch on bench anyway, so might as well make him work for it, I guess.
Well, the start's not been ideal from Rob. He's still playing around with the same 3 basics.
Man.
You see Natalie hovering with that Garbodor, ready to pop the nail down. Before she does that, though, going to Ultra Ball away an Elixir and an Energy, so not too worried about her draws. Her hand must be fantastic.
She smells blood in the water, putting pressure on. Stick with the game plan. Don't overextend. Don't dump unnecessary resources. As I've said time and time again, she's asking all the questions. She's cinching in her headlock, and it's Ian's responsibility to get out of this. An anemic Acerola on a Wimpod is not going to get it there. Garbotoxin is online, and we've seen it before.
More of these basics disappearing. Ian needs something good off the top right now. Could be a bit of a problem.
We are about to Nah again.
He's got to go with it. It's the big play. Maybe it's the secret to this deck. But no, you mentioned Natalie smelling blood in the water. It definitely looks like the real deal. Not a Michael Phelps digital shark. She's really going for him in this game, and even Ian's questioning these tiny fight back plays that he's trying to make.
Yeah.
Just another pass. You hate to see that on Ian's side after such a wonderful tournament and kind of just floundering, not really accomplishing much.
She can find a strong energy. That's it. It's done. Oh, there's the Jet Punch. So 60 active.
60 damage active.
Does
he have any kind of response to Acerola? And okay, so he at least has gets to live a little bit longer here.
He gets to start again. But if those are the supporters you're drawing, they're not what you need right now.
Exactly right, and that's kind of the slight negative of running the high Bridget count and things of that nature. Theoretically, in the back end of the game, when you draw that Bridget, that's trade fodder. Garbotoxin prevents you from that, so now you're just kind of cluttered up with dead cards, and that Bridget off the top may keep him alive a little bit longer, but it's not really advancing his board state.
He does get to thin his deck by 3. That helps a little bit, I guess, and I guess rearrange them as well. Tapu Lele now in the active, trying to get some work done, but
We've seen this play from him before where he benched a Bridget and put a Lele down, which usually is a weird thing to do. You usually want to save your Leles for supporters in your late game or, everything in that aspect. But it's also a great attacker. Energy drive hitting for 80 damage here and, kind of put some pressure back on a Natalie side.
yeah, you got to wonder though, if you're on Natalie's side, you can just start picking stuff up on the bench pretty comfortably right now. We do see her attaching another energy here, so
I believe that's the third one.
it's not even safe for Tapu Lele.
Yeah, and
That
there's an
double
absorption
colorless is gone.
GX, which, keep in mind, lets her use her knuckle impact for attack again instead of having to hold that back.
Well, Buzzwell's finally gone.
Yep, Buzzwell was gone. Ian cobbling something together. Lele's double colorless choice band, and we see after a sacrificial Tapu Lele, the second one comes up to clean up the Buzzwell there.
And just
a pass. So that's very interesting. This is that door that I thought was slammed shut just creaked back open, and Ian needs to capitalize here.
The no energy in hand door that's been opened, I think, there for Ian, is going to be able to finally get a Glycopod out. So some damage is there now, but a first impression and the absolute limit of it at the moment.
And that's what he's going to do. He's going to knock it with his first impression, and now full pressure's on Natalie to respond with energy right now. Just a Garbodor and a Buzzwole, so no immediate draw for her in the form of Lele. She has to draw strictly out of her deck.
Now, we did see earlier when she Ultra Balled to get the Carbink down, she did throw away a Max Elixir when that Buzzwole was on the bench, and maybe that's coming back to bite her a little bit because we'd at least like to be jet punching now to get some damage on the board.
Anything helps, but you see her with the Ultra Ball, going for the Carbink. So when you look at her Tapu Lele count, did she have an extra one in there? Was she able to get a supporter? If not, then this is probably one of the better plays to try and set up another Carbink.
Exactly right. She's got to do something. She's got to power up a Buzzwole. That's her route to victory. Just rotating through her Pokemon. My feeling is maybe to get that breakdown, maybe an energy, and load up the Buzzwole very quickly.
It's a tough thing right now because she wasn't able to get a supporter there with Garbo on active. So she's kind of in a spot right now to where I just got to find an energy supporter and hopefully reset here.
Yep, well, those were those energies we were talking about. It's going to be a strong energy onto Buzzwole. Going to start dealing that damage again with these big jet punches.
Yeah, we saw an armor press from Ian last turn, so the damage notched down just a little bit. I believe we're still hitting for 40 there, if my math is okay. Field Blower is big. Field Blower is very big.
I don't know if I guess you want to play the Field Blower in that situation, but the Garbodor was actually kind of hurting Natalie there in a sense too, because she could Ultra Ball for Lele or anything right there. So I'm hoping this play works out for him.
The Field Blower what it also permits him is allowed to trade a little bit, maybe get to the Guzma, maybe just get that Garbotoxin off the board completely, or aggressively go after that Carbink. But we're just going to see an armor press into Buzzwole here.
Yep, no other plays for her there, just trying to get damage, for Ian, trying to get damage down on Natalie's side. But that's really slow and steady, I think. The Field Blower being gone, though, means 2 armor presses will get it.
Yep, exactly right. And at this point, Ian this is a very resource conservative line to take, just kind of maximizing the mileage he can get out of that Glycopod. We see a Guzma pull up a Zoroark GX with no energy attached. And Natalie's doing the same thing. She's trying to maximize her damage output.
She has no cards in her hand now, so she's kind of on a prayer right
Ace
now.
Arola is incredibly unfortunate right there
and
for Natalie.
how many prizes does Ian have left? Is that 2 or 3 prizes left?
So he's managed to stage a good fight back there. He picked up the Carbink and he picked up the Buzzwole earlier in the game. A quick judge ruling there from our good friend Judge Corey. An extra card was accidentally pulled and it just had to be revealed and shuffled back in.
Absolutely right. Nothing malicious there. Just kind of sweaty palms, whatever it might be. It's the finals. People are nervous. Accidentally plucked another one. No big deal. Rectify. We're back into the action.
Yep. Judges have always been fantastic all weekend, helping us out at these tournaments as per usual. So smart play there. Correctly called by the judge for clarity. The big thing
there it is.
Oh man, we saw Ian
strong
fight back.
comeback right there.
Ian gets it there. Really quick play there from both these players. As Ian is going to be your 2018 St. Louis Regional Champion.
Congratulations to him, especially in that third game. Fell far behind right at the beginning. Literally